Hello, friends. When the British dropped the Intolerable Acts, the colonies didn't just frown, they federated. And like storm clouds rolling toward a dry forest, 13 colonies began to stir with one electrifying idea. What if we actually talk to each other? Enter the First Continental Congress. It's September 1774, and Philadelphia, city of cheesesteaks and compromise, is about to host a political potluck like never before. Delegates from 12 colonies. Georgia had other problems, like fighting off Creek warriors, so they politely RSVP'd, maybe later, gathered to figure out just what in King George's powdered wig was going on. Now, picture this. You've got gentlemen from Massachusetts with their coats still smelling faintly of tea and revolution, sitting next to folksy Virginians who think the North is a bit too spicy. Throw in some South Carolinians with fine manners and strong opinions, and you've got yourself the beginning of America's awkward family reunion. But awkward or not, it mattered. They came not as British subjects grumbling about taxes, but as Americans, tentatively, cautiously seeking unity. The room buzzed with accents, anxiety, and just a little passive aggression. Some wanted to write a strongly worded letter to King George. Think, "We're very disappointed in you." Others wanted to prep the muskets. But in the middle sat cool-headed thinkers like John Adams, Roger Sherman, and George Washington, blending fiery idealism with cooler pragmatism. Fun fact, Adams thought Patrick Henry talked too much, and Henry thought the New Englanders were stiff. Welcome to Congress, folks. Still, out of the talking came thunder. They passed the Suffolk Resolves, which flat out rejected the Intolerable Acts. They declared them null and void, like expired coupons. Then came the Declaration of Rights and Grievances, a stern, eloquent list of everything they believed in: life, liberty, trial by jury, and not having redcoats sleeping in your parlor. And yes, they did agree to send a letter to the king, a last olive branch dipped in ink saying, "Please, your majesty, let's fix this before we all end up fighting in fields with bayonets." But just in case the king didn't write back with flowers and chocolates, they also formed the Continental Association, a pledge to boycott British goods, stop exports, and build local industry. Goodbye fine British cloth, hello homemade Liberty mittens. Even more impressive, the Congress agreed to meet again in May if things didn't improve. Spoiler alert, things did not improve. Still, this Congress was thunder without lightning, for now. But make no mistake, the air was charged. In taverns and homes, people listened closely to news from Philly. For the first time, the colonies weren't just reacting, they were organizing. The British, of course, weren't thrilled. They saw this as a dangerous flirtation with rebellion. General Gage in Boston started stockpiling weapons. The crown braced for trouble, and trouble was getting ready to gallop. Because not long after these delegates shook hands and headed home, muskets would crack in the dawn. Redcoats would march, and farmers would become legends. Next time, we ride to where it all begins. Not in a grand hall, but on a dusty road between two small towns. So lace your boots and load your powder, because in the next episode, we'll hear the echo of revolution ring across the hills. Lexington and Concord, the shot heard round the world. Because some thunder doesn't wait for permission, it rides on horseback and fires at sunrise.